Welcome to the 20th time of trying to record my review for Revelation. This is the 20th sometime I have done this, and frankly, if this review does not work, I might just burst into tears and cry and write out my review, and you guys can read it, because I'm not doing this again. I'm so sick of talking about this book now. Review time! Because you guys have been waiting and anticipating and just freaking out for this review because I already spoke about this book in my book haul where I said I was enjoying it because I bought Desolation, for God's sake. So let's get into this. Let's get into it. A long time ago, I read to you guys the synopsis on the back. Like I did in Casual Vacancy, I'm going to reread it for you guys because too much time has passed. Spring 1543. King Henry VIII is wooing Catherine Parr, whom he wants for his sixth wife. Archbishop Cranmer and the embattled Protestant faction at court are watching keenly, for Lady Catherine is known to have reformist sympathies. Matthew Charterlake, meanwhile, is working on the case of a teenage boy who has been placed in the Bedlam Insane Asylum, and fears that the boy's terrifying religious mania could lead to him being burned as a heretic. When an old friend is horrifically murdered, Charterlake promises his widow that he will bring the killer to justice. His search leads him to Cranmer and Catherine Parr, and to the dark prophecies of the Book of Revelation. First off, let me say this, I love this book to pieces, to itty-bitty pieces. And although it did take me a good while to get through it, because it is quite the hefty book, I still loved it. Quick facts, because why? This was an era that I wasn't used to reading in. I'm used to like contemporary, nowadays, or Victorian era, but the Tudor era, not so much. So, first fact. Tudor era. King Henry VIII, he is the king of England who beheaded a bunch of his wives because they wouldn't give him a son. If you guys have seen the other Bowling Girl, that's the guy. The next fact is, in this era, religion plays a major role in everything. The king or queen kind of decides what religion they're going to follow, and they expect everybody to kind of drop their previous religion and go and follow them. And if you don't, you're viewed as a heretic, and chances are you'll die. Now, a nice little fact about this book in general, this is a very religious book. If you're not into religion or you don't like reading about it, don't buy this book. Another thing is the Book of Revelations is the book in the Bible that deals with the end of the world. Now, there's many different takes in the Bible about Revelation, and the one that they deal with in this book is the 7 vials of the 7 angels that are released upon the earth and, just kill us all. So, some sicko is basing his murders off of this. Now, into my own personal synopsis. I'm going to try and keep this sweet and short. The story begins with Matthew Charterlake, who is a hunchback lawyer. He is attending his friend's party, Roger, who is wanting to open up a hospital for the poor people. Charterlake wants to help out, so he agrees to it. The end. That is the first few chapters. Then he gets a patient who is in bedlam because of religious mania. It's very hard to comprehend it at the beginning because you're kind of thrown into a whirlwind of what is happening type of situation. And you feel really bad for the family. You really do. I feel bad for the kid because he feels that God's abandoned him and forsaken him and that he's going to die and go to hell, and he's having nightmares about it, and he doesn't eat, he doesn't sleep, he just constantly prays and asks for God's forgiveness, and he's never given it, or at least so he believes. It's a very complicated case, even in that day and age. The story, however, really doesn't pick up until Roger's murder. Charterlake stumbles upon 2 lawyers who come rushing to him saying that they found a body in a fountain, and he goes to investigate, and he immediately begins to kind of freak out because it's Roger, who's his best friend, and it's just horrible because his throat's been split and just, it's gruesome. Basically, throughout the rest of the story, Chardalake and his, I don't want to say a companion, but kind of his assistant, and his assistant's name's Jack Bayrak, although they go by his last name constantly. I'm just going to call him Jack. But him and Jack go through this journey, and this horrific journey, of trying to catch this killer. In the same token, they come across the Archbishop Kranemer, and he has political ties with the religion and all of that, and they kind of band up together to kind of catch this killer. You have the religious nut freaks, no offense, but you have the religious nuts like Kranemer, who believes that the killer isn't human, that no human could do something so vile and disgusting to people, that it has to be a demon. And he is adamant about it, and that's all he talks about, is that it's a demon, it's not a human. As you get further into the book and more murders take place, more description is involved. Now, as they get closer to catching the killer begins to attack Chardalake, Jack. Now, up until the end, you don't know who the killer is. You have no idea who it is. And to a degree, when you find out who it is, you kind of do one of those faces of like, oh, no! I love that about this book. I love that it's a page turner, that you're sitting there and you're rooting for Chardalake to catch this guy, and you're like, do it, man! Just catch him! And however, the ending sucks. Well, I guess I can't say sucks, but it's not the best. When they finally discover who the killer is, and Chardalake's with him, and they have their kind of final battle thing going on, the way it ends, it wasn't how I imagined it. It was kind of like CJ Sampson kind of ran out of ideas and was like, yeah, that's how he's going down. So, I mean, it was good. It was compelling. I was sitting there, my heart was pounding as they were trapped together, and you're like, oh no! But I knew that another book was coming out, so we all know Chardalake lives. Even after that, the story continues. That is the synopsis of the book. A murderer basing his murders off the Book of Revelation. Chardalake, the hunchback lawyer who is dealing with a bedlam patient who suffers from religious mania, is trying to catch this murderer. Alright, so as always, we're going to do what I liked, what I didn't like, and trust me, even though I love this book, there are certain things that I did not like. So let's begin with the do nots. First off, the dialogue. There are some stages in this book that the characters say certain things that I don't think really belong in the Tudor era. For instance, you have Jack, who goes, oh shit. That's just an example. He says shit a lot, but, you know, he goes like, oh shit, or that is shit, or things like that. And in my head, I'm like, I don't think that was really around back then, like that type of expression. The word might have been, but the expression, not so much. Another thing is character names. Bayrak or Barak. It's not Barak, but it's like Barak. So Bayrak, I'm not sure. His wife has a weird ass name too. Tamsin. It's like Tamasin. Another thing I really didn't like was the bedlam situation. I really am into the whole bedlam type of thing. I've read a lot of books about it, and I don't recall, at least, anything of it being in that era. And for the conditions that these patients were kept in was odd, to say the least. I think they were treated a lot better than our patients are treated today in this book. So I don't think that is accurate remotely. Those are the few things I didn't like. The things I did like. I loved every single character I came across in this book. Each one had their own life, their own spice, and they were just so much fun, and some of them you're just kind of like, you're such an ass. But I love them. That was one of the biggest things, was the characters are all likable, they're all believable. Even Chardalake, I rooted for him until the end. Also, the fast-pacedness of the book is awesome. You're constantly like holding the book to your nose and like, oh my god, and just trying to read as quickly as you can but still retain it all because you're like, I need to know what's happening, and you cannot put the book down. It's just that awesome. I love this book. I seriously just love this book so much. I also love the descriptions of things. I know I said that the murder scenes weren't really my cup of tea, but for CJ Sampson to get as in depth with it as he can makes me kind of question his sanity, but makes me respect him as an author at the same time. Awesome job, man. That is my review. I give this book an A because it is well worth the read. If you're not into religion, though, and you don't want to read about it remotely, not for you. Otherwise, go get it. Seriously. Another major plus side to this book is, as we all know, I bought Distillation. You don't need to read Distillation and the other ones before you read Revelation. They take you back through the characters. You find out more about Chardonnay. It's not like you're in the middle of a story and you're wondering what is happening. What? So it is a whole new story. It just deals kind of with the same characters. So I'm excited. I love this book and I cannot wait to read Distillation. Hey, go buy it. It's awesome. Revelation by C.J. Sampson. Rated R for mature audiences. Alright, my next book I have for you guys is one that I was kind of skeptical about buying, but I ended up getting anyways. I'm still hesitant about reading because it deals with a genre that tells the same story over and over and over again. I give you James Oswald, The Book of Souls. This is a Inspector McLean novel. I've already done my research about this. I've already read the book. So you don't need to read the first book, which is Natural Causes. So it's kind of like Revelation. You don't have to have the previous book to know what's going on. That is awesome. I love that. So, The Book of Souls, I'm going to read to you the back bit now. Every year for 10 years, a young woman's body was found in Edinburgh at Christmas time. Naked, throat slit, body washed clean. The final victim, Christy Summers, was Detective Constable Tony McLean's fiancée. But the Christmas killer made a mistake, and McLean put an end to the brutal killing spree. 12 years later, a fellow prisoner has murdered the Christmas killer. But with the festive season comes a body, naked, washed, throats. Is this a copycat killer? Was the wrong man behind bars all this time? Or is there a more sinister explanation? McLean must revisit his most disturbing case and discover what he missed before the Christmas killer strikes again. It sounds interesting. I'm not going to tell anything because I've already read it. Keep tuned. I'll have this review up by week's end, hopefully. And until then, you guys, happy reading. Bye!